right. We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity and podcast for um, Camp Worldwide Impact. Just a whole bunch of cool things. We don't even know where this goes. It's like round and round. Mark mind go. Where it stops, nobody knows. Um, and so, um, Norman, if you could just tell us a little bit about the camp or your experience with the camp, um, stories, whatever you want to do. If you could go ahead and just give us kind of an intro.
Sure, yeah. So those of you who don't know, my name's Norman. I'm Jason's younger brother. I had the fortunate um, opportunity to hang out with Jason and his wife and two kids and Mark on this call, as well as his brother and his wife as well. For a few days this past week, the video you see playing in the background, these are all scenes from a camp that I am a part of year round. This is what I do for work right now, or for a living, I guess. And essentially, this camp's called Independent Lake Camp. We live on the lake that you're seeing there in the background. It's called Independent Lake. There's another lake on the other side of the lake that we're friendly with, but we focus on ours, obviously. We have been around since 1992, founded by Dan Gold. He's mid 70s right now. He's the founder. His son Jeff um, ends up purchasing this camp from his father in 2013, I believe it was. This is, I think, his 10th summer as the new owner slash director. We in the full-time season, we have seven full-time employees, all kind of tackling different, I guess, having a different focus on the business, although we have our hands in a lot of different areas of the business in general, so to speak, in the off season. We say we work 10 for 2, meaning we work 10 months to make 2 months of magic. And the shots that you see in the background, those are from those 2 months of magic that we create for kids from all over the world. These kids, I would say probably three-fourths of them are from the United States, and from a lot of them from the East Coast, but they're from all over the United States. Some as far as the West Coast, California, Colorado, Texas, Utah, lots of pockets in Florida. That's on the domestic side. And then from an international standpoint, we have Spanish kids and French kids, Colombian kids, um, Puerto Rican kids, Chinese kids, just everywhere around in the world. There's lots and lots of cool opportunities, and it's a really cool melting pot. It's kind of like a bubble. It feels like a bubble in the middle of the summer of just cultural richness and tradition and experience that's happening, and expansion in these human beings. Beyond that, we also, from our staffing standpoint, obviously, to run an operation like this, just to give you a few numbers, um, we can host up to about 650 kids at a time. We have 3 different sessions every summer that we host these groups, running the same program for all 3 sessions. There's a 2-week session and then 2 3-week sessions to follow. From a staff perspective, to kind of go back to that and wrap that up, we have about 250 counselors in the middle of the summer, 6 of us full time. So there's quite a bit of um, intention and effort on that part of making sure that we have the best team available every single summer. And since it's a seasonal kind of gig, we're working with a lot of young people that are in university age, college age, maybe are taking a gap year, that type of thing. Teachers, careers or phases in people's lives that a summer camp opportunity would make sense in their life, and they get a lot out of it. They're from all over the world. 75% of them are from outside the United States, and those expand even more from a staffing perspective, expand even more than the campers do in terms of where those people are coming from. Large groups from the UK, Australia, New Zealand, Spain, France, Colombia, Mexico, all over. So it's a really cool it's a really cool experience. I always say, like, I come here early in the summer, or early in the spring, really. I've been here for a little over a month now, and it's a beautiful piece of land. Mark could attest to this. Jason could attest to this. This is a beautiful, beautiful property that there's a lot going on. There's always things evolving and innovating and growing. But really, it's nothing really without the people that make up the camp. And we talked a lot about this during our visit and stuff, and just the culture and the people and the community aspect that we've cultivated over 34 years of doing this, has been quite remarkable. And there's still people to this day that work here, and have the opportunity to share this experience with their children, that were also here the very first summer in 1992. So that's a kind of a testimony to, I think, the vision that Dan had to begin with, a vision that empowers the child itself. We have a very unique program that we run, which is fully elective based, meaning every single child has the ability to kind of carve out their niche and create their own experience while they're at camp, versus just kind of, traveling around with their bunk and their group, and just participating maybe in things that they normally wouldn't choose otherwise. So there's a lot of empowerment. With that comes a lot of organization, and we call it organized chaos. There's so much that happens in the middle of the summer, to manage all of that, and to make sure that kids are where they're supposed to be, and having a good time and connecting with people around them and stuff like that. So I have talked for a while. Not sure. I guess the way I found this place, this is something Mark asked me, like, how did you even get in contact with this? When I was in college, between my freshman and sophomore year, as a freshman at the time, I was mentioning or I think I was a sophomore at the time. I don't know if that matters, but anyway, I was mentioning that I was, eager to find something to do that summer. One of my professors happens to know the current owner, Jeff, going back about 20 years or so. So this professor of mine was a counselor where I'm working now. So at this camp, 20 years ago, and now just, full circle, he refers me to this place. I start in 2019, and then now 6 years later, I work here full time. So it's kind of incredible how God works in those ways to move people and voices and opportunities around. So I'm grateful for that, and for him to kind of point me in this direction as well. So I found a small piece of what I would call a second home in this place, I would say. So I'll turn that back to you, Mark.
No, I appreciate it,
or
Norman.
whoever.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. We had talked before, at the Coffee Connection, and that's where, I love the engage, I love the connect, and I love the grow. Like, it's like engagement. Like, if you don't engage, you're not gonna connect, you're not gonna grow. Now, just because you engage doesn't mean you're gonna connect. I mean, it's like the 2 nights that we spent there, 3 days, 2 nights. It's like everything is slow motion for me. Like, everything is, it's like you're in a time warp. You're just, because it's so, you just never have experience. I mean, some of the things like the, like the paddle boats. I mean, I've experienced that. I have that in our yard, and not on that big of a lake. And that was really cool to go out with, my 2 nieces, and my brother was on the kayak, and just like everything. And then to see the fish swimming around, like everything is in slow motion. It was so cool where there was a group of people. I don't know if it was from New York or Philadelphia. And, I think it was a, school that was primarily or entirely Black. I don't know. So Black young kids that were there, and that was really cool. And there was this young girl that I'll like never forget. I mean, I don't know, she was probably 16, or no, I guess she'd have been 18 because she was graduating. And she was going in the trapeze, and she didn't want to go. Like, she was crawling up, and she's like, I want to go down. Like, and it was so cool to see the ones on the top, no, you got it, you got it, you got it. And then the ones on the bottom encouraging her. And then, I saw her at the lunch line and I said, "You're the one that actually did it, didn't you?" I said, "Way to go." And so there's things that you have fears. And so she will never, ever forget that moment. Neither will I. You know, you know, and so I've been to a lot of camps, but I've never been to anything like this before. I mean, just the whole thing, how it's structured and how it's put together and everything. And so there is something very special about camp. And so how do we go ahead and, how do you help? How do you like, so Norman, you had mentioned what was one of the challenges or one of the things you thought you guys, the camp might be able to use help on?
Are you speaking to the older camper thing we talked about at the coffee
Yeah.
convention, or yeah? So I'd say one of the things is, and I don't know, maybe this is just something that, no, I think it's something we should and can address more. Is a lot of our older campers, so we have a big range of campers, 6 to 17 years old, first through 12th grade, basically. We do very well in the younger age group from first through 7th grade. We do very well. Even 8th grade through, I would say, sophomores, we do very well with. Or well with, I would say it starts to kind of taper from there. But I would say our older group, that kind of high school age group, um, there's a sense that they kind of grow out of it. We hear that a lot, like they grew out of camp, and part of that I think is probably maybe natural. Internships come up, or they maybe they're just looking to work. Like we get that a lot. Like they want to go work at a coffee shop or something like that, or get some working experience and actually get some money in their pocket and start that as well. That's a totally different endeavor. But how can we create an equal or better value to that human at that time of their life, where they can see that going to camp is actually of as much value or more value than some of those other options, like getting an internship or like going to get a job and making money. Not saying that those are bad things, obviously. Those are great things, but how do we kind of compete with where they are in their life, and is that something that we can remedy with programs, or what you have it, you name it. That's just something that we kind of continue to try to wrap our hands around and head around. And how do we kind of create those young leaders to so that they're prepared for what's coming for them in high school, in college, and life, wherever they may go. But I guess it's the alternative options that are really kind of pulling them from us, because we hear it a lot. Like they love their time there. It's not often that we hear those older campers, like they just had a terrible time. They just didn't connect with anybody. They whatever. They love it. It's just those other kind of competing aspects, or they just kind of they grew out of it. Whatever that really means. So I think that's when I hear that, I think there's something behind that. But we can get into that as well.
So, so that we're meeting on right now, as of right now, we're meeting on Sundays at 9:30 Eastern time. And so if you're, watching the podcast and you'd like to join live, it's a lot more fun live. I admire you if you're watching or listening to the podcast. I don't do so well at that. That's why I just like to participate live, like just to engage. But you can join us, and it's again Sundays at 9:30 Eastern time. And you just go to www.ravingfan, ravingfan.net. That's ravingfan.net. And you'll join into the Zoom call. And if you want to just sit in and listen, you can do that. If you want to participate, you can do that too. Whatever you want to do, it's totally up to you. So some of the things that we have on the agenda to talk about So there's an application from Life Masteries Institute. It's a web app, and so it's called Life GPS. And so just like the name, it's a GPS to life. And so, life is complicated. It's hard. Choices that we make can alter our entire everything, like our entire future by one choice, one time, one bad choice can go ahead and send us down a path that can end in really hurtful things. Or one right choice, can go ahead and lead to an abundant life. And so Life GPS is designed to kind of help guide people through various areas of life, whatever those areas that they value. And so that's what we'll be, probably focusing in on, because it's scalable. And so, going from 600 campers in a week to 1,200 campers in a week, man, that's hard. like, like everything changes. Like everything changes. Even going from 600 to 900, like everything changes. It's just hard. When you have physical people present, it's just hard. Going from 600 people using the mobile app to 1,200, or going from 600 to 6,000, in a way, it's not that big a deal. Like you don't have all the physical, because it's really mental, emotional, relational. It's all of those things. And so Life Masteries is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. It was started, I don't know what it was, maybe 17 years ago. A bunch of business community people came together, especially the business side, and said, hey, how can we as business people, how can we connect with community-based organizations and bring value to community-based organizations? And then how can community-based organizations connect back into business? And so what you're doing is impacting the community, the entire community, making a healthier, community. And so some of the things that the Life GPS, so kind of the outline that we have right up this point is current campers. And so there's channels in Life GPS. And so the camp could have a channel, totally its own. It's got its own video production. It can do it can control the entire. So whoever owns the channel controls the entire experience. So I have my own channel. So you can have individuals that have their own channel, or you can go ahead or you can have organizations. They can be for-profit, non-for-profit. It doesn't matter. And so within a channel, there's different groups. So you have different groups that you can, so a channel can set up the different groups. And so my vision is kind of, I can see Independent Lake Camp having its own channel, and then the groups are where maybe there's interest. So somebody's interested in circus, somebody's interested in video production, somebody's interested in basketball, or equestrian area like horses, or swimming, or basketball. They have, how many different areas of interest are there, Norman? Do you know by any chance?
Yeah, there's from a department standpoint, there's 13 different departments. That would be anything from aerial adventures to waterfront to sports. Sports would be our biggest one. Circus, theater, music, art, skate park, horseback. What am I missing here? Go-karting is its own. Yeah, there's 13. I'm missing a few here and there, but there's 13 different departments. Each within those departments, there's many kind of sub interests or subtopics within there. So I think there's
So what,
I
so
think
what
there's
I see, like,
90 some.
So
Good.
what I see is Life GPS. So you have the camp has a channel, and then underneath the channel there's 13 groups or whatever number of groups that the camp wants. Underneath all of those groups are specific topics. Or so it's a three-tiered system. And so within that you have people who are they have interest in these different things. One of the biggest challenges in creating a life-changing experience is follow through. Follow through is costly, and resource wise, it's massive. And so, one of my mentors, Ralph Miller, he was in the Air Force and got out, started his own aviation company, was so successful that he never had to work he sold his company when he was in his early 50s. And he never had to work a day again in his life. He did a lot of things. He had his mom died when she was 99. At 97, 98, she's traveling all around the world. She's volunteering, part of all these nonprofit organizations. It was amazing. And she's like, she's 97. So he's probably 70, in his mid 70s. And she's like, Ralph, you know what the problem with old people is? And you gotta laugh. And he's like, no, mom, what's the problem with old people? She's like, they're lazy. And he went ahead and he's an amazing guy out on the East Coast, and he's an amazing guy. And he said to me once, he said, Mark, you have a very unusual gift. I said, okay, what's that? He says, you have the ability to take people's passions and turn them into money, turn them into an economic engine where somebody can go ahead and, love what they're doing and make money on it the rest of their life. I said, well, that's pretty common. I would think, I think any business owner probably does that. He's like, no, they don't. I mean, they know how to go ahead and take their vision and their passions and bring people in and turn that into money, economic engine for everybody. But you have a very unique ability to say, well, what's your passion? And how do we make money at it? And so one is the current campers. And so I see Life GPS plugging in to all the campers and taking the camp experience with them and then taking relationships with them. And so I see there's so much entrepreneurialism that comes through the camp every year. And so I met a gentleman from Brazil, and he does during the off camps, he's a stuntman. Like, how cool is that? Like, he makes money doing stunts. Like Jim Bontrager, he said, I'm having so much fun, it should be illegal. Like, it's like when you can make money doing what you're passionate about, what God's wired into you to do, like you just love doing it. You're like, I can't believe I'm getting paid to do this. And everyone I met at the camp, I can't even explain the culture and the community. And my precious 4-year-old granddaughter, Micaiah, she made a friend that was just, it was just amazing. Now, I'd love to go over. She's from Australia. And so I'm working on, hey, I've been looking for somebody to go to Australia. That'd be really cool. And so follow up and follow through is what's hard for people. It just is. And so the Life GPS, I think it will help people to understand their personality, understand their passions, help them discover their life vision, help them to be able to understand how do you have a balanced life? How do you discover what you're put on this planet for? And then how do you live to that? And so that's what this group is really all about. I can see Life GPS helping with new campers, bringing on and those. And And then I can see mental health as the kids get older. Mental health is, becoming a bigger and bigger thing. And then world impact, these kids and the staff, especially, they're from all over the world. And so they take a little bit of camp. Like they take a little bit of camp with Life GPS and they take it home, and all of a sudden, it spreads. And so Norman had said, how cool would it be to have something like this in Indiana where he grew up in family? Well, like it's like almost like a slice of heaven. Like it's almost like it's almost like you're in it's a different world. And then business opportunities, like all of the different things that they're teaching and having fun. Like if somebody's passionate about it, like Jason, Jason said he didn't even realize he could own his own company until he turned 18 years old. Then all of a sudden he realized, oh my goodness, I can. And Shuaib from Pakistan, like he didn't start doing computer programming until I think he was 18. Like, and now like he's the guy's a crazy genius on what he's able to do. He's the lead developer for Life GPS, for Life Masteries Institute. He's got his own company and some amazing things. And so there's all kinds of business opportunities. And then there's camp visits, which would be, work days. I mean, I could go on and on, but I won't. So join on Sundays because that's where it is. Come early, stay late. That's where the real stuff happens. I mean, that's where it's really exciting. If you have any questions on anything we covered today, feel free to connect with the individual who invited you to participate in today's session, or you can call toll-free 888-230-2300 outside the US 630-393-9909. And always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Thanks, Norman, for sharing. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you.
Bye-bye.